And they're playing, again, this is like a moments before disaster. PERNIDA'S back. Nemu's... Ladies and gentlemen, Bleach fans around the world, you know what time it is. It's Bleach Saturday once again, and this week we'll be watching the 1000-Year Blood War Arc episode 36, titled Baby Hold Your Hand 2, Never Ending My Dream. Is that the longest episode title so far? I think there are a few others in contention for that title, but still it's quite a mouthful. After last week's stunning installment, well, there's a lot to live up to here, but I think episode 36 is going to prove capable of rising to the challenge. The second half of Mayuri vs Pernida is really where the fight takes off, and of course the inclusion of Nemu here leads to some truly impactful sequences. I'm also curious though, speaking of last week's episode, to see whether or not they go all out and show us a bit more of Kyoraku's current situation. Based on the way they teased the continuation of Mayuri's fight last time, it's definitely possible. Anyway, let's get on with this reaction and enjoy the episode together. As always, I'll be watching this episode from the perspective of someone who has read the 1000-Year Blood War Arc in its entirety, so expect potential spoilers in the video to come. And if you enjoyed this video when you're done with it and you want to stay up to date with me and the channel, then make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, and I really do appreciate the support. Right, with all of that out of the way, let's get started on episode 36, titled Baby Hold Your Hand 2, Never Ending My Dream. Okay, straight back in with Mayuri versus Pernida. Are we skipping over Kyoraku completely? And immediately they have the line that I said was removed in my review from last week. Brilliant. Interesting, so are they not going to continue with Kyoraku versus Leal at all here? Have they learned their lesson? They're not going to tease that Leal might still be kicking? And now we see now this kind of makes me wonder why even bother including this at the start of last week, but there you go. Oh wow, the kind of gore and the viscera like dropping down like that is a really grotesque but cool visual. And Pernida's laugh sounds really good. Damn, look at all the flesh and blood and gunk on the floor. I like the erratic, crazy music as well. This is a good start. Pernida's laugh was really good. Again, it was that kind of shrill, high-pitched laugh that I think works really well for the hand. Oh, I would really love any kind of a flashback for Pernida. I feel like Pernida looks quite good there, as it's growing back its fingers. That was quite a good little shot, actually. And its voice has changed again. Now it's really deep. The voice is kind of alternating between back and forth between strange and then kind of deep and authoritative. It's actually working a lot better this week, I think, already. We're really diving straight into this. There's no buffer whatsoever. There's the bow and arrows on the fingertips. That's pretty cool. That's a lot of arrows. But yeah, see, immediately Mayuri is in trouble. This is what I mean by the fight really starts to get going here. I remember loving the shot in the manga of him blowing off his own arm, basically, to survive. And of course, here comes Nemu. We really are getting right into this right away. The way Mayuri just kind of callously dumps her on the floor. It is nice of Pernida to let the two of them have this little chat. It's cool to see Nemu actually getting involved, and I am very, very curious to see how they handle some of the later sections of this fight. Mayuri Nemu, there you go, wow. You've been through a great many battles ever since Ichigo Kurosaki and his gang showed up, so that would be Mayuri versus Uryu, Mayuri versus Xyloporo, and I guess Mayuri versus Giselle. They weren't really involved in the Ami fight at all. Wow, Mayuri's voice actor just going in here, raging at her. Essentially trying to disguise his own sentimentality, I feel like, there. And here's the opening from chapter 640. But we can actually see Mayuri, that's cool. That's cool. Yes, that's his weird design that only features in this flashback, basically. Okay, pretty cool. That's a good start, I think. I'm pretty excited. Very interesting that there was no sign of Kyoraku whatsoever. I kind of feel like that's how they should have played it last time as well with Mayuri and Pernida, but there you go, I guess. That's exciting, though. I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be a very interesting episode, to say the least, based on what we know is coming up. There's a lot of potentially crazy stuff this week. Maybe they're saving Leal. I don't think we'll see his new form in this episode, especially not now, but they could be saving it for a cliffhanger or something like that. Oh, they just had Leal's Vostendish in the opening. That's really awesome. Oh, so they are going to update all of them. All of the Schutzstaffel are going to have their forms changed as the... That's really cool. Well, I mean, Askin and Gerard won't, presumably. Gerard might grow massive in the opening, depending on how far into his fight we get, if at all, but that's a nice detail. I like that. And that makes me think that Nemu is going to be missing from the ending. Or maybe even from the... How crazy would it be if she was just missing from the opening after this week? Wow, so we basically covered an entire chapter, if I remember the manga correctly, in that pre-opening sequence. That was a nice little animation, Mayuri using the Hoji Kuzai to restore his arm like that. And Nemu doing the same as well is quite a nice little touch. It makes sense that Mayuri didn't look in the medicine cabinet as he normally does. They were kind of on the clock a little bit. That's a cool shot, though, of Pernida rising up over the two of them like that. That was a really nice panel in the manga as well. Now, of course, Mayuri activating his jet boots, essentially. This is where things now will start to go up a gear. Damn, how tall is this building that Nemu is running down? I always loved this sequence in the manga. It's such a cool little moment of the two working together like this. And that is a lot of arrows. I thought it was a lot a minute ago. This is a consistent rainfall of arrows, and somehow Mayuri is avoiding every single one. Nemu's not even on the ground floor yet. How tall is this building? This is really cool, seeing Mayuri like flitting between the arrows and of course the gigantic hands just firing them constantly like that. This is the kind of action that elevated this fight to the next level, and the teamwork as well. It is cool getting to see more of Mayuri's battle form as well. And they left in the small comedic moment where Nemu tells him that he's being too loud. Yep, so Nemu goes in, injects the coagulant into the nerves, and now Pernida's beginning to freeze over. That's really cool. And I love the shot of Pernida's last remaining hand glancing. I always loved that in the manga. That final hand catches sight of what's going on just in time. Now, interestingly, he didn't sound too much like Kenpachi then. I thought he was going to almost have Kenpachi's voice in that sequence, but it is cool him challenging Mayuri and actually calling him Kurotsuchi as well. Wow, we're already flying through this. Nemu's going to be taking the lead any minute now. There's the power of Matai Fukuin Shotai. That's really cool. The main hand rising up behind him. That's a good music choice as well. It's very dramatic. I like that. And now we're moving straight into Nemu's flashback. There's my boy Akon. I really like the lighting in the lab in this flashback. I mean, it's the same as, I guess, when Ichigo was talking to Mayuri about his broken bankai. And then back to the present day. So that's a blink and you'll miss it moment where he calls her Kuna, which is, of course, Mashiro's surname as well. Speaking of which, I actually don't know if we're going to see the Vizards do anything in this core or not, to be honest. Well, that's a nice little detail. The kind of, the tiny, tiny corpse remnants, essentially, are actually getting ever so slightly bigger with each progressive experiment. That's kind of cool. And this research and development guy with the bandage, who I don't think has ever been named, I love how he's just here for that one line, basically, about his head being fixed. Nice music choice. Yeah, this is good. Nemu, of course, powering up now to rescue Mayuri in time. That's cool. Rocketing straight from the ground. I appreciate Akon, getting his time in the spotlight as well. And it's kind of cool as well, if you think about it, that they're in this sequence of the flashback, they're both future vice captains of Squad 12, but, hanging out and discussing things with each other is kind of cool. I think this is the voice that was in the poem last week, right? The young Nemu. This is probably my least favourite Mayuri design, which is good, I guess, because it's literally only in this flashback. There's almost a little too much going on. He clearly decided to dial it back in time for the Soul Society arc afterwards. The artwork is so good this week. I mean, like those shots of Nemu look basically like they're lifted straight from the manga. They look really amazing. Is the thing that she's sleeping with, isn't that one of the recon bugs that they use in the lab? That's a good shot of Akon. Again, that is like straight out of the panel. That's really cool. And she just completely obliterates Pernida. That's awesome. I like that although this is like a dramatic scene, they are playing a much softer soundtrack in the background, clearly emphasizing that this is an oddly emotional sequence for a character like Mayuri, but obviously for Nemu as well. But this is really nicely done so far, actually. I mean, there's not a lot of this fight left, actually, when you think about it. And that's quite nice as well. That's a slight change to the anime. She just places Mayuri down onto the rooftop, which makes a lot more sense. In the original chapter, she kind of throws him, or he pushed himself off her initially. I can't remember exactly, but I mean, this is it now. This is Nemu's big moment as she comes in to face Pernida. That looks really cool. Gikon Jorinju, that looks insanely good. Nemu pulling her arm back, this brilliant blinding yellow light, that's awesome. Again, I feel like there should have maybe been some music there perhaps when she actually fired the blast, but for all intents and purposes, I mean, that looked really very clean. I loved the animation of her kind of pulling her arm back while charging the blast. How cool is that? And then it comes blasting out of the back and destroys the hand. See, now that's really cool as well because, yeah, in the manga, the hand was broken, the arm was broken like that. But it's really cool seeing the light flash through it. That's really awesome. And they're playing, again, this is like moments before disaster. Pernida's back. Nemu's, I mean, this is it. Wow, they're playing a vocal track. I mean, Nemu just kind of, I mean, that was really quite, I mean, that was way more brutal than the manga because we actually saw her kind of like inflate and explode. Xyloporo, that's awesome. I love the kind of pink hue on him as well. Nemu's death, I mean, that was so brutal. That was like that, basically. It was instant, which is kind of how it happens in the manga as well. So I think they conveyed that really well. It's cool hearing Xyle's voice again. And he looks so good as well. They just like pulled out all the stops to make Xyloporo look basically perfect. This is, of course, Kubo jamming essentially his favourite Espada into every arc he possibly can. They've made Xyloporo look really, really fantastic. Like, capturing the true madness on his face is so good. I like that it's a vocal track as well, because it does kind of lend it that level of importance that other prior moments in the anime have had, like Renji's new bankai, Rukia's bankai, Ichigo's arrival, are all accompanied by... But it also, because it's a much softer track as well, it really does lend it that kind of... it really kind of lends it that that more, it's like there's like a weird serenity to it. And of course the gigantic creepy hand rebuilding itself slowly. Mayuri just shutting down the music. It's like the music was analogous to some level of his own humanity. He looks fantastic there as well, to some level of his own humanity seeping through the kind of scientist barrier. Pernida looks so good here. I would say that Pernida looks really quite good in this episode. Oh, and they're actually showing Mayuri clipping something into his ear. They kind of do that in the manga, but it was really unclear. That's what zaps Pernida. In the original chapter, he just kind of does that, and you don't really see anything. This music as well, this is awesome. So, Pernida, of course, tries to devour the remains of Nemu because that is what it learned from Ashisogi Jizo, because Ashisogi Jizo devoured it. But now its body is swelling in like that's just truly horrific fashion. And this music as well, it's like something out of... This is like a Bloodborne boss theme or something. This is awesome. It's like bursting blood. This music is absolutely fantastic. Pitch perfect for that. I mean, that's like one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in the series. Wow. So Pernida, I mean, that's the end of Pernida. Mayuri walking away like a total badass while, you know, carrying a brain as you do. But of course his legs have been taken out. So Pernida's hand full on explodes here. And actually they've removed a little bit where... If I remember rightly, Pernida, like, the chunks of flesh continue to grow even after it's been destroyed because of the, you know, the thing that Nemu had in her that let her grow beyond the stage they needed her to be at. But here, they've just said that's it. Pernida's hand blows up and it's now dead. And actually, I think that works really well for making this, the finale to this fight, a lot cleaner. But anyway, Ikkaku and Yumichika are here. And there's Hitsugaya and Matsumoto. I'm not seeing any sign of Rosen Kensei. Just gonna say that right now. Matsumoto's here, but I mean, again, in the source material, she appears here and is never seen again for the rest of the fight. So whether she'll do anything or not, I don't know, because it would be nice if she did. Hitsugaya thanking Mayuri is a really cool moment. Again, the artwork is stellar this week. Some of these shots of Mayuri's face are like just straight out of the chapter. It's kind of cool to think as well that, of course, Kenpachi will not be in there for very long. In fact, he will arrive at the Gerard fight before even these two. Them bowing and saying thank you to Mayuri again is another great character moment. I can't get over how incredibly cool and, frankly, satanic that music was that was playing when Mayuri killed Pernida. What an awesome moment. And the fact that Pernida is, like, definitively dead as well, I think is really good. Like, its hand just completely exploded and there was nothing left, basically. This horrible, twisted mass of flesh collapsing to the floor is a very cool visual. That's cool, seeing the tank fill up with water. You don't actually get to see that really in the chapter. That's kind of neat. So yeah, this is the end of Mayuri now as far as the Varvel arc goes. He is done, unless he comes back later on in the anime. But again, I think the music is a great choice. We'll show him together as he talks to Nemu. That's cool. A kind of vision of Nemu reaching for him. Very nice stuff. I think that was really, really, really good. That was really good. It actually, I think, tidied up some of the... I mean, the end of that fight was never that messy in the manga anyway, but it tidied up even the tiniest little bits that it needed to, and brought it to a close in, I think, a very satisfying way. One thing I will say, it's a tiny bit disappointing that it doesn't appear like there's going to be any kind of flashback for Pernida. Again, I don't know where they would fit that in, because this has been basically 2 full episodes as expected. I mean, clearly they had no time. It doesn't look like there's going to be... Oh no, there might be a post-credit scene, which I'm assuming is going to be Kyoraku. I was just about to say they clearly had no time to show Kyoraku because the rest of this fight took the whole episode. But anyway, I mean, I think really good stuff. That was really, really cool. Really, really cool. I think it looked great this week. It sounded great. That music was fantastic. That was awesome stuff. Really, really cool. They handled it very well. They handled Nemu very well. I think the flashback was really nice. Oh, Nemu's still in the ending. Maybe they'll take that out next time? Her eyes are shut here. Were they shut? Were they always shut? Is that something I've missed? I don't know. They might not have always been shut. Maybe they are now. That would be kind of a cool detail. I need to go back and have a look. But yeah, no, that makes me excited to see the end of Kyoraku versus Leal, I've got to be honest. It's not Kyoraku versus Leal. Lil Toto and Giselle? This is new. The arena. Who is this turning up? Soldat? So some Soldat did survive the Alsvalen. You have to think that they would be like, we could be next. Girls? Candice, Meninas, and Bambietta. Are the other 2 zombies? Candice and Meninas? She had them tag along with the city. They're fighting! They're fighting the Soldat. That's awesome. Meninas going in for a punch as well? So Candice and Meninas are actually dead then. So were they killed by the Alsvalen? I like that they don't have their Volston dish anymore because they were hit, but what the hell is going on with the Soldat? What is going on with this end scene? So the Soldat... Interesting. And now we're moving over to Friend? Oh, I love the soundtrack returning the moment Basby blasts them with, like, fire bullets or something. Maybe they were tiny burner fingers, I don't know. Mario Quincy is gone, that's a bit of a shame. So Giselle zombified Candice and Meninas at some point. We'll have to talk about that in the review. Okay, so they're teasing Friend now. But the poem for next week is Nanao. So we are finishing off Kyoraku versus Leal next time. That's going to be very exciting as well. Can't wait for that. Bleach 37, Shadows Gone. That's not a chapter title. That's a new title. That's cool. That's really cool. That ending is fascinating to me. Giselle at some point zombified Candice and Meninas. When on earth could that have even happened? Because, so presumably they were killed by the Alsvalen, or Giselle went and killed them at some point, but we know that Giselle was with Lil Toto when the Alsvalen hit. Oh man, this is what I'm thinking about now. And what the hell was going on with the Soldat? I'm just going to go very quickly back to that final sequence. That was definitely probably the craziest part of the episode. There was a lot of really good stuff, but this is brand new. And it's cool to see the Bambis fighting together again. So I've just paused it. So they don't have their Volston dish anymore because of the Alsvalen, but now they have, like, mini Volston dish armor? This is brand new stuff, but it's like It's like Giselle is moved because they've got like the Dancing Dead Boys Club skulls on them, but obviously in their respective colours, but Bambietta doesn't. So that's interesting. They don't actually seem to have their own unique looks 100%, although they do slightly because Menina's skulls have hearts for eyes, and I think Candace's maybe don't. So Lil Toto says, gotta hand it to you, you had them tag along with the city. That implies to me that Lil Toto didn't know that Giselle zombified them. So that's cool, seeing obviously Bambietta attacking them initially. You know what, it now makes a lot more sense why they thought they could take on Yuha Buck. If they have basically 5 sternritter. And what is this thing that Candace is doing? That's pretty awesome, seeing Lil Toto eating the soldat as well. So, okay, now this is crazy. Is this supposed to be showing? This is showing one of two things. Either the soldat are still normal Quincy and they are being, like, taken over by Yuha Buck or the Soul King's overflowing power after they are dead. But actually, when I first saw this just a moment ago, my immediate thought was, these soldat were never actually normal people, but they are basically bodies made out of Yuha Buck's power. Because he did kill basically every soldat with the Owl's Valen. So, I mean, it would be really awesome. I mean, is he like creating soldiers with his own power? You know what that means? Well, it doesn't mean anything actually. It makes me wonder so a couple of weeks ago, I actually said, what if Yuha Buck brings back some dead sternritter? I mean, that could happen if they come back, but like maybe looking a bit like this, where their bodies are made up of the Soul King's overwhelming power. I tell you what, I mean, they are really hyping Friend up, and I am very, very excited to see where this is going. Like, if the soldat that Basby takes out with Hashwolf are revealed to also be these weird Soul King things, that's going to be really fascinating. That's going to be really, really interesting stuff. Yeah, cool. The ending was definitely the craziest part for me, because that's all new stuff pretty much until we get to Basby arriving to face Hashwolf. Friend is going to be really hype, I think. Really, really hype. But next week, we have the ending of Kyoraku versus Leal, which I think should be really awesome in its own right. Yeah, very, very excited. But that's basically it, I think, for the episode, guys. I really enjoyed it. I think that was a very, very strong installment this week. I love the theme of madness, that ramping up, that acceleration, the crescendo of craziness going on as the fight reaches its apex. Xyloporo appearing and looking absolutely fantastic as well was the icing on the cake. Really, really just great stuff. I'm very, very happy. I think this week was just a fantastic one, and I'm hoping the finale of Kyoraku versus Leal will be similar in magnitude. I'm really, really hoping for that. That's going to be really good stuff. Yeah, I'm very, very happy. Of course, as always, I'll have to get my thoughts together for the review for you this coming week. But do please let me know, as always, what you thought of the episode down in the comments. The emotion behind Nemu's death, I think, was actually handled really well. I loved the music playing, the soft vocal track playing over the top of it, even playing over the top of Xyle, berating and mocking Mayuri, and then Mayuri kind of shutting down both Xyle and the music, and thematically his humanity at the same time to push past Nemu's death was really, really well done. Very well handled, I think. So yeah, do please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. And let me know as well how you feel about this surprise ending. The Bambis are back, but now 3 of them are zombies. Also, Bambietta is back, but still a zombie. But the last time we saw her, Giselle was re-killing her, essentially, beating her to death and taking back the blood that she gave her. So did she then give her back new blood to return Bambietta to being a zombie? And how does this work with Can't Fear Your Own World? Lots to talk about. I'm very, very excited, but I'm going to let you go for now. I'm going to go and collect my thoughts. Thank you again, as always, so very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, I want to end this video by saying a massive thank you and giving a huge shout out to my wonderful supporters over on Patreon, without whom I simply couldn't do this. If you want to support me over on Patreon too, you can do just that. By supporting me at the $1 tier a month, you can get your name in the credits of every single video just like this. And at the $2 tier or higher, you can enjoy every video of mine absolutely free of baked-in YouTube ads. Alright guys, thank you again so very much for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you later, and I'll see you then.